Is thin oil like 0W20 and 0W16 slowly destroying modern engines designed to run it? Or are engine rebuilders seeing something different that contradicts what manufacturers are telling us? After over 20 years tearing down engines and seeing what actually causes failures versus what keeps engines running strong past 200,000 miles, I need to address the controversy around thin oils. There's a vocal group claiming that 0W20 is too thin and causes accelerated wear, but the data I'm seeing tells a more complex story. Today I'm showing you what's actually happening inside engines running thin oil, which engines are failing and why, and whether you should trust your manufacturer's recommendation or run thicker oil. Let's get into the truth. First, let's establish why manufacturers started recommending thinner oils in the first place, because this didn't happen by accident. Modern engines are built with tighter tolerances than engines from 20 or 30 years ago. Bearing clearances, piston-to-cylinder wall gaps, and valve train tolerances have all gotten tighter as manufacturing precision improved. Tighter tolerances mean less oil clearance is needed to maintain proper film strength. Manufacturers also face increasingly strict fuel economy and emission standards. Thinner oil reduces internal friction, which improves fuel economy by 1 to 3% depending on the engine. Over millions of vehicles, that adds up to significant corporate average fuel economy improvements. And lower friction means less heat generation and less energy wasted pumping thick oil through the engine. Additionally, modern oils have significantly better additive packages than oils from decades ago. Viscosity modifiers, anti-wear additives, and film strength enhancers allow thinner oils to provide adequate protection even under load. A modern 0W20 with a robust additive package can protect as well as or better than a 10W30 from 30 years ago. So the move to thinner oils isn't arbitrary. It's based on tighter manufacturing tolerances, better oil chemistry, and fuel economy requirements. But here's the critical question. Are engines actually surviving long-term on these thin oils, or are rebuilders seeing premature failures? Here's what I'm seeing after tearing down hundreds of engines over 2 decades. Engines running the manufacturer-specified thin oil 0W20, 0W16, 5W20, and maintained properly with oil changes every 5,000 to 7,500 miles are not failing prematurely due to oil film thickness. I'm seeing clean valve trains, well-preserved bearing surfaces, minimal cylinder wall wear, and engines routinely reaching 150,000 to 200,000 plus miles with strong compression and low oil consumption. I've torn down Toyota Camrys with the 2.5-liter engine running 0W20 at 180,000 miles. The bearings looked excellent, the cam lobes were smooth with no unusual wear, the cylinder walls still had visible cross-hatching, the piston rings were functional and not carboned up. These engines were spec'd for 0W20 from the factory, ran 0W20 their entire lives, and showed no signs of accelerated wear from thin oil. I've torn down Honda CR-Vs with the 1.5-liter turbo running 0W20 at 120,000 miles. Same story. Clean internals, good bearing condition, minimal wear. I've torn down Mazda CX-5s, Ford EcoBoost engines, and numerous other modern engines designed for thin oil. When they're maintained properly, they're not failing due to inadequate film strength. But, and this is critical, I've also seen engines running thin oil that did fail prematurely. And when I analyze those failures, the problem isn't the oil viscosity itself. The problem is one of 3 things: wrong oil for the application, extended drain intervals beyond what the oil could handle, or maintenance neglect that would have caused failure regardless of viscosity. Let me give you specific examples. I had a customer with a 2015 Subaru WRX with the 2.0-liter turbo. Factory spec is 5W30, but the previous owner had been running 0W20 because thinner oil is better for fuel economy. At 95,000 miles, the engine threw a rod bearing. When I tore it down, the bearing journals showed scoring and heat damage. The oil was too thin for that engine's bearing clearances and turbo heat. The engine needed 5W30 to maintain adequate film strength under boost and high RPM. Running 0W20, a thinner viscosity than specs, caused the failure. That's not a failure of thin oil in general, that's a failure of using the wrong viscosity for the specific engine. If the owner had run the spec 5W30, the engine would have been fine. I had another customer with a 2017 Honda Civic running 0W20 as spec'd, but he was changing oil every 10,000 to 12,000 miles and doing mostly short trips in cold weather. At 78,000 miles, the engine developed severe oil consumption, a quart every 500 miles. I pulled the valve cover and scoped the cylinders. The piston rings were carboned up and stuck. The oil analysis showed the oil was exhausted, low TBN, high fuel dilution, severe oxidation. The problem wasn't that 0W20 is too thin. The problem was that 0W20 under severe service conditions, short trips, cold weather, was breaking down faster than the 10,000-mile interval allowed. The oil should have been changed at 5,000 miles given the driving conditions. The thin viscosity made the oil more susceptible to fuel dilution from incomplete combustion on short trips, which accelerated its breakdown. If the same engine had been running 5W30 under identical conditions, it would have lasted slightly longer before the oil broke down, maybe 6,000 to 7,000 miles instead of 5,000, but it still would have failed eventually with 10,000-mile intervals under severe service. The root cause was wrong maintenance interval, not wrong viscosity. Now let's address the argument that thicker oil provides better protection. This is partially true, but requires context. Thicker oil does provide a thicker oil film between moving parts at operating temperature. If you have an older engine with worn bearings and looser tolerances, stepping up from 5W20 to 5W30 can help maintain oil pressure and protect those worn surfaces. But in a modern engine with tight tolerances designed for 0W20, running thicker oil creates problems. Thicker oil takes longer to circulate during cold starts, meaning cam lobes, rocker arms, and turbo bearings are running dry or with inadequate lubrication for the first 10 to 30 seconds after startup. That's when most engine wear occurs. Thicker oil also creates more internal friction, which generates more heat and reduces fuel economy. And thicker oil can't flow through tight passages as efficiently, potentially starving oil-driven systems like variable valve timing actuators or piston oil squirters. I've diagnosed Honda and Toyota engines with variable valve timing codes because owners used 5W30 or 10W30 when the engine was spec'd for 0W20. The thicker oil couldn't flow through the VVT solenoids quickly enough to adjust cam timing properly. The check engine light came on. Switching back to 0W20 fixed the problem immediately. Here's the data that matters most: manufacturer warranty claims. If thin oil was causing widespread premature engine failures, manufacturers would be hemorrhaging money on warranty repairs. They'd reformulate recommendations immediately, but that's not happening. Engines running manufacturer-specified thin oils are making it through warranty periods and well beyond without unusual failure rates. The engines that are failing because of maintenance neglect, using wrong viscosity for the application, or design flaws unrelated to oil thickness. For example, some GDI engines have carbon buildup issues regardless of oil viscosity because fuel doesn't wash the intake valves. Some turbo engines have design flaws in oil drainback from the turbo that cause coking regardless of viscosity. These aren't thin oil problems, they're design problems. So here's my professional opinion after seeing thousands of engines. For modern engines designed for thin oil, 0W16, 0W20, 5W20, run exactly what the manufacturer specifies. Don't second-guess engineers who design the engine with specific bearing clearances, oil passage sizes, and tolerances based on that viscosity. The engines are surviving just fine on thin oil when maintained properly. Change the oil conservatively. If the manual says 10,000 miles, change at 5,000 to 7,500. If you're in severe service, short trips, extreme temps, towing, change at 5,000 maximum. Use quality synthetic oil with a robust additive package. That combination, correct viscosity plus frequent changes plus quality oil, protects modern engines long term. The only time I recommend deviating from manufacturer spec is if you have a high mileage engine, 150,000 plus miles, with worn bearings and low oil pressure. In that case, stepping up one viscosity grade, 0W20 to 5W30 for example, can help maintain pressure and protect worn surfaces. But that's a band-aid for wear that's already occurred, not a preventive measure for a healthy engine. Here's what rebuilders are actually seeing. Engines fail when people neglect maintenance, use the wrong oil, or push intervals way too far. Engines survive and thrive when people use the correct viscosity, change oil on conservative schedules, and maintain the vehicle properly. The viscosity itself, thin or thick, isn't the determining factor. Proper maintenance is. Don't let internet mechanics scare you into using thicker oil than your engine was designed for. Modern 0W20 with quality additives provides excellent protection in engines built for it. Trust the engineers who designed your engine. They know the tolerances, they know the oil passages, and they spec the viscosity for a reason. The bottom line, thin oil does not destroy modern engines designed to run it. Engines running 0W20 and 0W16 as specced are reaching 200,000 plus miles with proper maintenance. Failures are caused by wrong viscosity for the application, neglected maintenance, or extended intervals under severe service, not by running the manufacturer-recommended viscosity. Use the oil your manual specifies. Change it conservatively. Use quality synthetic. Your engine will be fine. What viscosity are you running, and does it match your manufacturer's spec, or did you go thicker? Drop a comment. I want to hear real-world experiences, and if this cleared up the thin oil controversy with actual rebuild data, hit that like button. Next week, I'm breaking down which engines are prone to oil consumption and what actually causes it. Spoiler, it's usually not the oil viscosity.